This is our last time. Look, I have a box of tissues also.
OMG, you're so cute. I might cry too because I'm going to be on my period, so.
Oh my God, me too. Eloy, are you?
No, but my wife is on it last week.
Okay.
Or currently on it.
Similar cycles. I like it. We're in unison. All right, cool. So welcome back to the Primas Podcast. That's the last time I'm ever going to say that. I am Cindy. And that's my Prima Jess.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning in for the last time.
Yeah, and then in case you don't recognize him, because we literally haven't seen him on the Primas Podcast in season 1.
Dang.
I think I made a first episode appearance in season 2.
Where we said, I'll pay you. We got our money together.
The guy behind the scenes.
Everybody give it up for Eloy. He's the Primas Podcast editor. So all of our YouTube content gets posted by him. And he's also responsible for the cool graphics in the back. And then also Karenina is responsible for our logo. So I want to make sure that's, yeah. So yeah, Eloy happens to be visiting. And what a coincidence, right? What was meant to happen.
Nice. How is it in Denver, guys?
Well, I've been sick with this face rash. I only covered up the one, but there's like a whole rash going on my face right here. I don't know if it's Colorado, but that's what I'm suffering with right now. So I haven't really been enjoying it.
Jessica also gets allergies when she comes out here.
Yes, especially when I go in spring, and last time in fall was my first time ever traveling in fall. And yeah, that got me really bad. I had like this weird dry cough that I've never experienced. And it sounded like, remember, I think Eloy made a comment, or Robert, that I sound like Marge, Marge's sisters, because I sounded so bad. I was just like, it's so weird. Like there's no phlegm or nothing, but yeah, it's pretty brutal out there.
Yeah. Colorado is not for the weak. So, it's just, yeah. Okay. So last episode, let's get to it because we're stalling, huh? It's because we're nervous, guys. Oh, I don't have my charger. So let's make this quick.
Cindy's never recorded a last episode before.
I know I haven't. Neither has Jessica, neither has you. So, all right. What are our last thoughts? So let's start with, why did we decide to start the podcast? And then also, why are we deciding to end the podcast?
I'll take this one.
Yeah, anybody can go.
Yeah. Well, I remember us starting was during COVID. So it was like March or April of 2020 when we had been doing a lot of Zoom sessions as like a family. We had like done book club because that's when the world had like shut down. So we had a lot of times on our hands and it was so uncertain. And then I think Cindy had the idea that was like, oh, I've been wanting to do a podcast all my life. And I was like, no way, because I was just thinking that is like, that usually happens with us. And we just started going from there, and we try to make it a family affair. We started with cousins, Melissa and Eloy as our editor. And then we just went from there. That's why we started.
I started because, not all my life I wanted to do a podcast, but I felt that at the time I had something to say, like with what we learned with psychology, what I learned with health and like nutrition. And so I was like, kind of like I wanted to put some ideas out there and to put the idea of how psychology has been a tool for us. Remember, like it was very much like, let's talk about our healing process, but like some tools and psychology and studying ourselves, human behavior, is a part of healing. So solutions-based. So I thought, let's talk about some cool stuff that we learned in psychology and then throw in some other stuff. But yeah, I wanted to do it because I thought I had something to say at the time. And now I feel like I don't have much to say. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I said what I had to say. And, but I think that's cool. I think that happens. It's like a relationship. It's like we're breaking up but in a healthy way, because we identified like, oh, okay, we can't do this anymore. And before it gets like weird and boring and we're like this, hey guys,
or toxic towards one another, and like stop talking.
You just start talking shit and get shady and post like, yeah, indirects. Like, Jessica, take that picture down. Like, you take it down. And stuff like that. So yeah. What about you, Eloy? Why did you start the podcast?
I was asked, and I had a set of skills at the time that I was interested in. I'm a big podcast fan, so I was honestly interested in the process as well. It did help that I was getting paid, so that made it easier to be interested. But yeah, I was kind of trying to see. I've already been trying to get better at editing, so it was kind of a cool opportunity to learn how to edit more stuff. And then that was gonna be like natural practice. Like I was just gonna start practicing because I was gonna do this every week. And so there was a lot of cool things that I learned on the way there. So I was gonna do it, I think, regardless, because I was during the pandemic looking for stuff to do as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. And why are you deciding to end it?
Well, the big secret, Edith is pregnant. Side contract. I think that question is more for y'all two, because you guys are gonna cut one of my sources of income out, and
you can't report us on your taxes anymore.
You're gonna be cutting one of my revenue streams.
Yeah, no, ending it was like a difficult choice because it's very time consuming. And, you know, like looking back, we started this when we had a lot of time, and now COVID is still here, but things are going back to normal. And then I think our biggest factor was that we didn't have the jobs we have currently that are in social work and are very draining. You know, we give ourselves every day for 8 hours to other people. We come home. Now we're playing mom. My daughter's in school, in practice, or in sports. So I have to take her after. And it's just very draining. And then to like think about these topics, you know, because as like effortlessly as they seem, guys, or we made them seem, it was a lot of thinking we had to put into it, you know, like going back and forth with Cindy. And then we would catch ourselves a lot towards the last year, like, I don't have time, or, you know what, let's just roll with it and we'll figure it out. And I think like we started to pick up, like, that wasn't our authentic selves, you know, like we wanted to give so much more to this podcast, but our lives are happening right now, you know, we got to live in the moment. So I think we had to like put everything down, and it's just too time consuming right now for us.
Yeah. It's like we had to make the tough decision, and it came to us very differently. Cause I remember you saying like, this is my last season, you know, I want, you know, whatever. And we had that conversation, and I was totally not in the headspace of like, I was like, well, I'm going to keep going.
Yeah. You're like, you're replaceable, Jess. You're replaceable. You said that specifically.
No, I didn't. I said, to the left. No, I said, no, I would say, I was like, I'll switch it. Maybe we'll find a member. You were like recommending people. You're like, talk to this person, maybe this person. And it's really hard to find someone who's going to, and I was just telling Eloy, like, if I ever did this again in the future, which I would be happy to, I would need a legit thought partner. And because, and someone who understands, you know what I mean? Because and you have to click. After all of that, you have, right? Like we have chemistry. You have to find someone who, because that's hard. And it doesn't mean, you know, it's just a mismatch. So like when you start working together and you put 2 years in, 3, 4, 5, I mean, it gets exhausting. So like if you had someone that's really, really like, you know what I mean, that wants to do a podcast, or someone who's interested in that, I see the podcasts that I like to listen to, they have a team, you know, and they have people to help them with the ideas, or to help them like, this is what I want to do. So get me all of the research or some, you know, whatever. And so I would plan it more.
What podcasts are those that you like to listen to?
The Flagrant 2 that Eloy got me into because of Andrew Schultz, and then The Brilliant Idiots, which is Andrew Schultz and Charlamagne the God. And then I don't listen to The Breakfast Club anymore, but that I used to a lot. I don't have time, you know, because like I said, we went back to work. I also like A Spanish one. Do you know this one, Jessica? Piolín, El Show de Piolín. They're
Mm-mm.
based out of LA, but it's Spanish and it's super funny and like it's like Big Boy's Neighborhood back in the like 90s.
Hmm.
It's like an every day, and it's like very community based, and the people call, you know what I mean? So it's like very fun. And people are like, "You listen to it?" Like my mom gets so embarrassed. She's like, "Oh my God." Like when my Bluetooth accidentally goes into her truck, she's like, "Please take that off." And I'm just like, they've gotten better. Because they joke, you know? And in Spanish, especially that type of style, everything has a double meaning. So you gotta always read between, you know, and they're so fast. So that keeps me up on my Spanish and Mexican side. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. Podcast wise. Oh, and the Joe Rogan podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about you, Jess? Have you gotten into podcasts throughout this process?
I've gotten really into, and I think I've sent it to Cindy. Her name is Shane Body, but her podcast is Lovers and Friends. And I found her like randomly on Instagram because I think, you know, your feed comes up, and she's out here based in LA too. And she's a psychologist, like I think she has her BA in psychology, and she does sexology. So she's really big on psychology and sex education.
Nice.
And like the simplest forms, you know, and I trip out on her topics because I'm like, man, this is goals. Because it's like, I remember we've tried to do those topics and they were so difficult for us because we only had one aspect of psychology. We don't have the education of like sex, like the formality of like, you know, talking about it without getting embarrassed. And she just talks about it so like nonchalantly, and I love it. And yeah, she's like a mom of two and always just very similar to our style. And I was just like, man, if like that's someone I can idolize, you know, it'd be her. I'm gonna message her and tag her on this actually.
Yeah. So would you like to come on? We're done, but you know, before we're just on a live.
We'd come out of retirement for you.
Yeah, one more person. So what did you hope to accomplish with the podcast? So I kind of said it earlier, but I said that psychology and to study ourselves is a useful tool for healing. And especially we mixed in, like, in addition to psychology, we mixed in generational cycles of trauma, because we started to learn that that's kind of the basis of why people react the way they do. And then we wanted to normalize the fact that everyone has childhood trauma and it can be fixed, right? There's a lot of tools, and one of them is psychology, and studying our own behaviors, thought patterns, questioning of ourselves, of our environment, which is a lot of work, to be accepting of ourselves and others, to be patient and non-judgmental of ourselves and others. And like, that's triggering, right? Because some of us are like, well, I didn't have a good relationship with my mom. And so looking into that and doing that work, and we're still doing it. Any relationship, right? Like you're constantly changing also. So I thought that was cool that we brought up that we wanted to see that the human being is in a constant state of change, and therefore you can't really be like, oh, okay, I think I get it now. It's more of about being open and fluid, you know, with life. And that's hard, especially when you're running around and, you know, and we know what we want to get to and we're still working on that. And I like that we weren't afraid to share, because a lot of the time people would DM me, or, you know, people were like, oh, you listen to this? And they would say some stuff that were like, oh my God, that's awesome. And we're literally there, and all they're saying is me too. Or, oh my God, I know someone, or my sister, or whatever. And you're just like, oh, cool. We're not alone, right? Like, no, we're all dealing with it. So
yeah. I like that you say that, to like normalize a lot of these tough conversations that we would have amongst ourselves, and just chilling and talking and be like, why the fuck can we talk about this out loud? Why is it so difficult for us to have these challenging conversations with individuals so close in our network? And it's like, well, me and Cindy are on our healing journey, and we would just think like, how can we help others when we're not even healed ourselves? And I think that was a huge, just like self-reflection. And then, you know, like we didn't transition well into motherhood. We didn't transition well into adulthood. You know, like all these things were like catching up to us. And it was just like, holy shit, let's talk about all this. Yeah.
I like that you say that. I never saw it that way, but you're right. It kind of hit us and you're like, oh shit. I want to teach my daughter differently. I want her to be more prepared than I was. And we were not prepared to parent. So it's like the only way you can get prepared is by really working on yourself, and you started doing therapy, like you said, the self-reflection piece is really powerful and healing because it hurts, right? Like you're going deep, and it's hard, and it comes up on a daily basis, and you're like, oh shit. But it's cool to catch, right? Because it's a part of the healing process to be like, Cindy, that's not how we talk to people. Or Cindy, that's not what we put into the universe. And you know, it's better than I think depression can stem from people not knowing that there is a way out, that there is a way out of our heads or out of whatever. And so at least we're in that place, right? Where it's like, no, stop, get out. Don't stay there for too long. Where some people are so oblivious to their own thoughts and just that level of consciousness or self-awareness. And, you know, I feel like depression comes from that because you think really that there's no answer. And it's like, there is. And so I like that. Hopefully we instilled that. Don't give up. There always is hope. You have to do the work. The work is hard and painful and lonely, but the benefits are, I would never go back to not have this, right? Like level of self-awareness and like pushing myself and
yeah. Because how can we preach it when we weren't applying it to ourselves? And I like how you always had that disclaimer, like do your own research. Like what the hell do we know? Because we were still in the deep like mud of it, you know, but we're putting ourselves outside of our comfort zone and trying to do the work, you know? And it's like, yeah, we don't have it figured out, but let's start talking about it. Like what we were trying to do, and I see it now, is like provide another extended community to people out there like us who were going through that. And I don't think we had the terms or the idea, but when you said you wanted to put forth all these ideas, yeah, like we wanted to talk about it so we can also heal within ourselves. And it was like coexisting, right? Like our healing journey, and like, hey, let's talk about it. Let's help whoever we can with our other hand while we're fixing ourselves.
Yeah.
And I like that. That's what I think our goal was. And I think we went through it because there were so many times, like I can think of where people would reach out to us and be like, wow, it was like a very controversial topic. Right. And like, sometimes we'd be taken back by it. Like, wow, I didn't think it stirred the pot that much, you know, or we just want to normalize, like also having different opinions, because as much as Cindy and I, you guys think we agree a lot, we do have very different perspectives on a lot of things. And it doesn't make neither of us wrong, but we just want to talk about it. Like, I want to hear what my cousin has to think, and I want to get a better understanding of the way she thinks and how she thinks and why, you know what I mean? Like all these questions, and just like non-judge with no judgment. Yeah. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. And, you said something about like the topics that, the like cancel culture. We touched on that, I think, this season more than others. And that's what's going on currently. So I think it's a really cool topic, like a really cool current way to study human behavior, because times are always changing, right? So when there's new, such significant social influences in psychology, like you study that hard because you're like, oh, why is this happening? And what are the trends? What does that mean? You know? And so, and we were talking about it earlier with my mom, how like cancel culture, right? Like the extreme forms of thinking that we've come up with, where it's like, if you think this, then I'm going to automatically shut you off, instead of that quote that we put up where it's just like, the point of, I'm paraphrasing, the point of debate isn't to fight or something. It's to present new ideas. It's not to agree. It's to be like, what do you think about this? It doesn't matter whether you agree or disagree. You're just taking on that new knowledge, because when you're open enough and you see that the whole world, every individual, every living being and creature or whatever has intelligence, and you're open to that, that's like very super power. Like you got to just tap in to the intelligence of a tree, and now you're open to receiving, right? That energy, I guess. And so like when you're asking someone else, like, what do you think of this? It's easy to get triggered, and we always get triggered when someone disagrees. That's in our nature, to defend our ego. But the practice is that, right? Like canceling someone because they disagree with you on whatever is not solutions based. You're just being done, shut you off. And it's just like, well, okay, then you're not creating solutions. And I think we get turned off. I get really turned off when someone is not I don't judge them, but I'm just like, I'm not going into that conversation or debate or whatever. Although it's needed, and I'm not saying people shouldn't. I just
don't entertain.
Yeah, but because I understand the psychology behind it, you know what I mean? Like, well, this person thinks that, you know, or when they have like a very hard-headed opinion, you're just like, well, that's what that person, I understand. Like, why do I have to convince and spend all this time and energy to be like, no, look at it this way, be more open. Sometimes it is what it is. And so I've accepted that sometimes you're going to click with people and sometimes you're not, and that's okay. You know, we don't have to click with everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So from an outside perspective, Eloy, how would you feel?
Cancel culture topic, or what specifically?
I guess, what did we hope to accomplish? That's what we were talking about.
How do I feel about what you guys hope to accomplish?
No, but like, I don't know. Anything to add to that? Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be about the question.
But what was the question specifically?
I mean, we started off with what did we hope to accomplish? And we were talking about to provide that tool, right? Of being open, of not being afraid to talk about certain things. Cancel culture, and we talked about that, you know, that triggered people, and which is fine, you know, that's cool.
I'm gonna get my Jordan Peterson on real quick and get angry. No,
and cry.
No, I mean, in regards to what podcasts, the purposes that they serve, I don't know if they're intentionally serving these purposes, but I am a big fan of communication. Like, and then I started calling it an art, like the art of communication, being able to have conversations with people. And then as I listen to a lot of podcasts, like a lot of the ones that Cindy mentioned, and then a lot of other comedy ones. Like, I'm just gonna give a few shout outs to like the Tim Dillon Show, the EYL Earn Your Leisure podcast on Market Mondays. Like, these are just people who would open up to so many different conversations, and I was just like, this is kind of cool. Like, this is another way to absorb information. And I guess back in the day, one of the only forms was just school, and that system didn't really work for a lot of people. I think just because the teachers, obviously they were the ones talking to us, but they were talking to us based off like a curriculum that they were supposed to follow. And I kind of, where I'm at lately in life, I just have such an appreciation for podcasts because it's people really putting themselves out there in like a real way. A lot of these are comedy-based podcasts that I listen to, but a lot of people are starting to say, and I agree, like comedians are like the last like form of honesty, like, because these guys have been through so much that's like, I have no reason to lie to you. I'm just going to be funny. And I just kind of seen through the way they speak, through their humor, I'm just like, you can get through a lot through communicating, through verbalizing. Because then if you never verbalize it, you'll never question it. And if you never question it, you'll never, like, let's say weeks from now go by, even progress from it. So I'm glad, I just kind of like people getting whatever's in their mind out of their mind and like talking about it. Like, I don't know, I'm just a big fan of talking about it. And I realized some people don't even know how to talk about it. Like, communication is like a real skill. And like some people kind of like, depending on, I don't know, it depends on, but like, yeah, I started to realize, like, because I'm so into these podcasts, and then like I want to go tell people or show them to people, and people are like, what is this? Like, what is this about? And I'm like, how is this not blowing your mind? Like, and then I guess I've been so involved, like, what is not the word involved, but like, I've just been taking in so much that it's kind of made sense as to like, I learned their stories, these podcasters tell their stories and like get deep with people, open up about, they'll have actual realizations as they're speaking. They'll be like, and then it's kind of like, I realized that happened just because they were talking. And as they kept talking and talking, they were like, like, I guess I didn't see it like that, or I never thought of it like that. Those type of like epiphanies are there. And so, yeah, like even your guys' podcast, like I like to get a little honest real quick, but like I was definitely listening to every single episode because I had to edit them and I had to go through them. And there was a lot of stuff you guys would say that I was like really impressed with or like blown away to as well. Like Jess, who started going through therapy, and like a lot of the podcasters that I listen to promote therapy. They even like one of the main advertisements that they promote is Better Health. Like all the podcasters are always promoting that in the middle of their podcast. And what was I going to say with that? Oh, like Charlamagne the God, who's a big advocate for mental health. A lot of stuff that I haven't gone through therapy, but he explains a lot of his sessions. And then he knows how to explain his sessions, and then knows how to explain what he's going through in life and how some of his traumatic experiences influenced who he was. And then now how it was so hard for him to realize that and then grow from it. And so I learned a lot about what I assumed therapy is like through him. And then when I started hearing Jess speak and Jess give some of her stories about how therapy was, I was like, it just give more, gas to me believing that like, yeah, communicating is like, just get it out there. A lot of people just hold it in, and holding it in isn't solving anything. I'm not saying getting it out there, you're going to say the right thing, but at least you got it out there. And like a lot of times people say, oh, like watch what you say or be careful how you say it. I'm like, no, if you have the thought, just say it. If it offends the person, that's on them. But you need to get that thought out there, because that way, at least now it's out there in the world for you to process, for you to figure out. But if you're like afraid to even have the thought, like, are you really going to progress or grow from anything? So I don't know if that answered the question, but it was definitely like a response I'd give towards like an appreciation of podcasts.
I get
and
it.
The purpose they serve.
I get it. And I love the podcasts that are comedy based, because they talk about deep stuff, but in a it's because it's funny, you know, it kind of provides that space. So I think that I love that style. That's what I try to do, right, Jess? We try to like do that, but I don't know if it came across, but like we're talking about deep stuff, but also like, yeah, I don't know, you know, like we would like make fun of ourselves and just kind of be like, we're going through it. This is happening to us and it's going to be fine. And I think that's relatable. Okay. So what's next? So what's next for you, Jess?
Dude, I know. Just, well, I want to establish some like root and stability, because I feel, for the last couple of years, my environment has been very fast paced and a lot on my plate. You know, like if I recall back when I was going to school, I had 2 jobs. I had a newborn / like 2-year-old, right? So I went to school when Melody was 3 months until she turned 2 years old. And I was going to school full time. And now I was doing this, working in social work, doing the podcast. I'm in a relationship now, and you know, it's just more factors. So now I just want to take my time, slow down, and take a nice breather, because my goal is in fall to apply for a master's program. And so that's my goal. That's my vision. You know, I think at work, I stabilized myself. I just got a promotion. So I'll be doing a little different role in my environment, but I'm so confident and so ready for it that I'm just like, I feel good at work. You know, I used to feel very stressed out, like working in the environment I do. And now I feel calm. Now I feel like confident in my role and ready to take on more responsibility. So give myself like that stability or even financial stability, you know, where I don't need to work so many hours a day just to like fulfill my needs or means. Enjoy my daughter right now is my next goal. She's in sports, you know, which is a very exciting time for me because I love sports, you know, and just seeing her evolve. And you know, some days she wants to do it and other days she's not. So like that's challenging in itself, but I want to be that mom. I want to be like, okay, babe, let's go to practice or let's go to ballet class. Like, you know, focus on her and then continue my healing journey. So in July will be 2 years since I've done therapy. And I told myself I would probably stop around then, but I really don't want to end. I feel like I'm still benefiting a lot from it. So I want to continue my therapy. Awesome. And just work on myself.
That's great. Those are great priorities.
Yeah, those are some long-term and short-term goals right there.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you're going to continue with therapy because I feel like therapy is a lifelong thing. Like working out, right? That's for your soul and your emotional side.
Oh, I want to get back into working out. Thank you. I've gained some relationship weight I'm not proud of. I really felt it when we played that baseball game. Dude, I was so sore for like a week.
We all thought you were smoking during the breaks.
You're like this. Woo. Who wants to run for me?
I know. It was so bad. That just shows I'm happy though, right? I gave that relationship weight a little bit. It's like, I feel good.
Yeah, that's love, man. That's
if you were getting skinnier in a new relationship, I'd be like, ooh.
Red flags.
What's going on? Red flag, Jess. Red flag. Red flag.
You're like, no, he loves me this way.
We would have had a different topic to talk about today.
Yeah, so I think it's fine.
Intervention.
Yeah.
That's cool. Same thing. I want to also be a soccer mom, even though we don't do soccer, but you know, like we were so busy all the time and I was always so tired. And I'm like, no, I'll be there for your little baby. She's going to get bigger soon, right? Like they're growing out of her.
I know.
It hurts, but so yeah, right? Like, and I hear a lot of people say like, ooh, when time flies when you have kids. And I'm just like, okay, no, I don't want to ever regret, like, why didn't I spend more time? And so I'm not like hitting my side hustle as hard because of that, because that would take up some of my weekends. So I'm just like, no, let me just get back to the basics. And that's where like a lot of, creativity comes from. And me too, I want to expand my career. I want to keep studying like public health, psychology, nutrition and stuff. So I want to go back to school as well. And that's a big deal. And we want to do a good job. Like we understand now, we're responsible adults. I didn't take college as serious, not because I didn't want to. I don't think I was emotionally mature enough. I was super immature. And so I'm like, I was just riding the wave. And this time I'm so excited to learn and absorb like, some of the classes that, I wanted to ask you, Jess, do you want to share like what you think you're going to get your master's in?
Yeah, so I'm leaning towards two paths, which is a master's in social work or a master's in counseling. Both are.
I thought somebody was going to say, Jess, do you want to go into master's program together? Like, I was like,
Dude,
wow.
We were this close.
They're going to do everything together.
I told Cindy we should start around the same time. That'd be cool because we can't do the same college institution for like financial reasons. But if we start around the same time, we'll be each other's support system because we're going to have those days of like, I want to give up and quit. And it's like, no, we got to push each other through it. I always say that we're good for like, yeah.
So, cool. Yeah. So I think you would be a great counselor or MFT, marriage and family therapist.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. Which you can also do with social work. Like, but, yeah, that's cool. So I would love to go into public health more. And, so, I mean, I think I've always said that, but just to really implement bigger policy change so that nutrition and healthy food can be like in schools. That's like my biggest dream, And so, yes. And so, yeah, that's exciting. And that takes up a lot of time and effort. One other thing that I wanted to share was that I'm going to stop smoking. I have been like, I don't smoke as much because I want to prepare and take it serious. And I think, again, I'm mature enough now, and I can say like, all right, I'm cool with not smoking. And I'm super pro marijuana. This doesn't mean like, I probably will stop smoking forever, but it just means that, I don't know, it just came to me one day. And I never thought it would be so easy for me to just be like, all right, I'm gonna stop smoking. It was more like, I see a bigger vision, especially after talking to Maria. When she came on, that was like the universe talking to me, right? I don't know if you felt that way, but I was like,
yeah, dude, I got emotional. I didn't realize
I was like,
I just thought of her this fun chick and like doing cartwheels. Like I didn't know she was like changing the world and like being an influence in so many ways.
Yeah. And Carla too, like when I think of all of the Mesa peeps because they're all engineers now and fucking astronauts and doctors and shit. So I'm like, what? That's awesome. And I didn't believe in myself when I was younger like that. I would be like, I'm probably not going to even graduate college. Like I was so not where I am today. So yeah, so that's exciting. And I think, some lifestyle changes come with that. They come with the maturity. And so I'm super happy about that. But so that's next for me as well. And yeah, getting back to myself. I want to start focusing more on myself, obviously, like physically, everything. Okay. Jess, do you think you would ever do a podcast again?
Yes, after my master's, for sure. Because I think I'll have more insight and different perspective on life after that. And I'll be a little older and wiser. So yeah, I love it. It's just, I don't have the time for it. So I was thinking maybe during retirement, I'll have time for it.
Dude, we should do it. I'm down. I am. I think, because I've always wanted to do the Spanish one and it wouldn't be a big deal to do that. I mean, yes, the time of recording, but I think if I ever get back into it, it would like to do all of the episodes and topics we touched, but in Spanish. So I would love to do that again one day. I'm not giving up on that, but yeah, not anytime soon. And I would love to share what we learned in our master's program. So I think, I don't know if I would say after, but in the future, yeah, I would love to have like a casual space where we're not trying to like push it so that a lot of people can hear it, so that we can be a little bit more, you know, just build a little community of like continuing to talk about really cool topics that you learn about in school and in the world. So yeah.
I know.
It's like that guy from Saturday Night Live that he's laughing. Stefan, you know who they're about? So yeah, this is I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, we've grown in 2 years, and it's, you know, we didn't plan it, but it was 2 years this May. Remember in May, we started doing the recording with the script. We did that for 6 weeks. And then I think it was a little after 4th of July weekend is when like we released our first episode.
Yeah, those are so embarrassing to look back. Not the scripted ones, the like first season, second season, third. It's like hard to look back. And I'm like, I always try to do better in the next episode.
You listen with your ears like this?
Yeah, and I'm like, don't look. Yeah. So yeah. I also wanted to remind everyone that we stand really firm with like opening the door for others. And what we mean by that, in the first episode of season 4, we talked about that, where we're just really trying to spread like positivity, because there's a lot of stuff that we create as humans that create a lot of division between us. And it's like, we're already dealing with childhood trauma. We're already dealing with systemic issues. We're already dealing with, right? Like with a lot. And so I think it doesn't help that like we continue to fight with each other. So I think when possible, open the door for others and be nice to others, not for anything in return, but just to spread that like love that we need. Yeah, that's it. Okay,
that's it. I know.
Oh, I also wanted to thank our guest speakers so much for taking the time to come out in our podcast, and a lot of back and forth that it took to build a lot of those relationships, which I'm really thankful for. We met a lot of cool new people through the Primas Podcast. So thank you so much. If you ever liked one of our videos, listened to one of our videos, anything, like we really appreciate it. We had a lot of fun. I had so much fun. It was super hard and interesting, I guess, like stressful, but it was super cool. Like now we can say like we had a podcast. Like what?
No. Yeah, thanks to everyone who came on, right? Friends and family.
Yeah. Eloy, any last words?
This was fun. Miss my Mondays. These were my Mondays when I would edit. And I had like a little scheduled routine.
We'll still try to send you something.
And I guess it's time to go back to Indeed.com and go look for some work. Let's throw my resume out there.
We were taking care of this guy, okay? We had health benefits, dental.
Yeah, we hook up our employees. Christmas bonus? Whoa, we were being a little too generous.
Yeah.
Just throwing money at Eloy.
Yeah. Remember when we threw you your Las Vegas party? Just kidding. Just kidding. We didn't throw that. He invited us. All right. So yeah, you guys follow us on the Primas Podcast. Oh, I guess we should say, like, are we going to keep managing that? I want to keep posting a little bit of like past clips, but I tend to take breaks, you guys, from social media. And I wasn't able to with the podcast Instagram. So if there's ever like some space of like, time that like you don't hear us being too active, I hope that you still continue to like keep in touch. But yeah, what do you think, Jess? About the Instagram?
Let it go. I'm cool to let it go.
Yeah, you're just like, let's block everybody. Okay.
Or unfollow everyone. Just kidding.
But yeah, follow us on our personal ones. We'll put those down, and yeah, you guys, bye. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.